Welcome, ladies, to Starr Empress Hour. Here we will discuss the varying issues pertaining to BAFs and BAMs, ranging from relationships, goals, prepping, motivation, current events, lies, education, changing thought patterns, and paradigms. So sit back and relax with us here on Starr Empress Hour as we work towards unifying, educating, and uplifting BAFs and BAMs. I'm Cookie Couture, and I'm here with Sister KK, Hype 6. On the panel, we have Amaziah, Hebrew Israelite, Cordell, and King Me Asir Resh. Yes. On today's show, we are discussing the use of the term "the black woman is God." The phrase "the black woman is God" with the capital G implies that the black woman is the God, the Creator, and the Most High. So, from my perspective as a Hebrew, it is my belief that a person cannot be God because there is only one God, Yahweh, and He is immortal and omnipotent. On the other hand, I can understand where the use of this term stems from. All throughout history, BAFs have been the most vulnerable and most oppressed people on the planet. Even in these current times, BAFs are the most commonly victimized people. So I do understand why some BAFs believe that using such a thing as title will help empower them. However, my concerns with the usage of this term are the assumptions and negative perceptions that some BAFs may take from it. In today's media, there is an increased focus on women empowerment, but little to no promotion of black families or black love, and little to no positive images of BAMs. While the media does promote the BAF as an individual and the BAM as an individual, there's no encouragement of unity between the two, and many of those images of BAMs tend to show BAMs that are of an effeminate nature. Because of the war on drugs, many BAFs are losing the parental and financial help from their BAMs to the unjust criminal system. This is leaving many BAFs forced to raise their children on their own and making them vulnerable to vampiric local and federal governmental programs. Therefore, in my opinion, the use of the phrase "the black woman is God" I find to be irrespective of our socioeconomic situation. In looking at this issue from another perspective, the etymology of the word God comes from Old English meaning supreme deity, the Christian God, or image of God, godlike person. It also has Proto-Germanic origins, the word Gutan, Old Saxon, Old Frisian, and Dutch, High German Gott, from Proto-Indo-European Gut, meaning that which is invoked. In an interview Dr. Mayat did with Titans TV, she referenced Dr. Asar's book, The African Origins of the Word God, wherein he revealed the fact that there is no word for God in any of the African languages, and that the only words that are similar to the word God are the words elevate and wisdom, therefore implying that their perception of God was one in which God elevated others and was also in possession of wisdom. So unless a BAF is elevating her mind, spirit, and body, as well as those around her, and possessing wisdom, she will not fit the African conception of God. Another point made by Dr. Mayat during the interview was that if one is going to refer to the black female as God or to elevate her, they must also do the same for the black male, because the black male does not exist without the black female. I mean, one must also do the same for the black male because the black female does not exist without the black male. I've noticed a disturbing and reoccurring theme amongst the BAFs I've seen who use the term "the black woman is God," which is extreme misandry, which means extreme dislike or hatred of men towards BAMs. Many also purport the theories and pseudoscience of Dr. York's claims that the original human female had the ability to procreate parthenogenetically, which means without the use of male sperm, through the use of the Bartholin gland. The justification for this theory is the existence of parthenogenetic animals in nature. Although in nature there are certain species of animals that can produce without the usage of sperm, those are very specific species of animals, and of those species, most can only do so in extreme or unusual circumstances. Also, as Dr. Mayat stated, there are distinct chemical differences between the fluids secreted from the Bartholin gland and from the male genitalia. The composition of the sperm consists of a mixture of fluids that come from different organs within male genitalia. The Bartholin gland, on the other hand, produces a type of fluid that is not at all related to the fluid secreted during sexual arousal and is merely a type of mucus used for vaginal lubrication. Therefore, it is impossible for the Bartholin gland to have ever been capable of creating parthenogenesis. Another theory going around the black conscious community is a claim that black women can procreate through the exposure of UV light. However, because human beings are of the hominid species of mammal, any comparison of us as Homo sapiens must be made with those similar to us as a species. The only form of procreation possible within the hominid species is that of egg fertilization. So unless a human female's egg is fertilized, procreation is impossible. As I see it, this term and ideology of the black woman is God is nothing more than an ego booster, and one that could have detrimental consequences to BAFs and the productivity of the black community. I would like to hear from other members of the panel on their perception of the black woman as God. Would any of you like to add your theories?
Yeah, I can talk about it.
Okay.
All right, on the and as evident, I'm going from a biblical perspective. That's how I view the world. So, as we saw with the creation of humans, what we call Elohim, which is a society of gods, created humans on earth and said, "Let us make man in our image." So they virtually semi-replicated themselves on earth, and so they were gods. So then, when they learned good and evil, they didn't have the maturity to utilize it properly, and then they were even called gods by the gods who created them. Said, "Oh man, now they've become like us, knowing good and they've become gods like us, knowing good and evil." So since we're their offspring, we're still gods. And then the people who unjustly uh, perform evil will be punished, and then the people who justly perform evil will be rewarded, and this includes women. So they are also gods.
Yes. Welcome, Sister
Wait,
Crystal, to the
wait.
panel.
Oh, welcome.
Asir, you have a point?
Yeah, I was about to ask the brother. So basically, to what he said is God. I want to start with what is God. Is that us or us being gods? Is that us knowing what's right and what's wrong? When he had said that part right there.
No, we were already created
Mm-hmm.
gods. Initially, we only had the first two. From my perspective, there were only two humans created in the very beginning. So we were created just like the gods. It's just that we were told to. I mean, our ancestors were told to be obedient, and since they were not, then they were demoted. Uh, but then they also retained their title of being Elohim. So that even if a rebellious society member of the Elohim is still called an Elohim, is still called a god. So even if you're rebellious, you're still a god, but you uh, got a reward coming for your rebellion, which is a problematic reward. So for your obedience, you get a reward that you're going to enjoy. So this includes men and women.
Would that be a status like how the woman is called? Would God be a title or a status then? If the woman is being obedient then?
Well, yeah. Whether you're rebellious or obedient, you're still a god. It doesn't matter. Because that's just how you're created. You're created a god, and then when you abuse your power, you get a just reward, which is a problematic reward, a punishment. So women are gods, and the people who created man and woman on earth were also a male and a female. Uh, but I consider them a society and not just two people.
Mm, that's something to take in. That's something to take in. I want everybody to get in. I don't want to make sure I say too much. This is the Empress Hour. I would like the the sisters to speak. Crystal or KK, if y'all have something to say.
I actually wanted to ask the brother a question. You said the last little bit that you said, you're saying us as a whole make God. It's not individuals. Was was that what you mean?
Well, see, Elohim in itself is plural, so it's a collective of individuals. I can't tell you how many there are because countless times in the Bible says you be counted as the stars, and we can't count the stars, and you be counted as the sands of the sea, and we can't count the sands of the sea. So, from my paradigm, this is a number of people that existed before humans were planted here on this earth, and before the earth was created. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Before the earth was created and after the earth was created, then humans were planted here on the earth that they created for
Oh,
us.
all right. All right. Yeah,
You
I
planted.
wanted to clear that up for me. So thanks.
Mhm.
And just to give a little more perspective, of course, we've had this discussion before, and I think what he's getting at is like, is the Lord one Lord? You know what I'm saying? But we become part of the Most High through collective parts. We all become one body, with Hamashiach being the head.
Do you have a perspective on this topic, Crystal? Crystal? Um, well, there are a number of contradicting concepts in regards to the black woman as God, and there's the issue of the lack of a
My
visual
apologies.
presence. Oh, hello,
I'm
Crystal?
sorry, Queen. I'm sorry. I hear you. I'm just having little problems. But I just got in, so I'm just kind of listening and seeing what's being said. So I'm going to be silent unless I have something to say. But thank you. Thank you.
Oh, okay, I was just saying that there are a number of contradicting concepts in regards to the black woman as God phrase, and there's a noticeable lack of a visual presence of BAPs in the conscious community in regards to those that post videos online. Most of the people who post videos online are BAMs. So, well, while there's this running theme, oh, the black woman is God, there's no real visual representation of that. Coupled with the extreme amount of chauvinism and misogyny, I myself have had a number of run-ins with BAMs from all varying sectors of the conscious community who often feel slighted at my opinions and different things that I have to say, and are often very insulting and it's sometimes humiliating when if you're really conscious, then at least, I mean, we have to then question the definition of the word conscious. Um, conscious means to be aware, and to be aware, you should be able to be aware of a person's situation, regardless of what background they came from. So, therefore, if people within the conscious community are being rude and insulting to women, just, I mean, I don't know, sometimes it's a pride issue, other times I don't know where it comes from, but if you're truly aware and therefore conscious, then you should be able to hear another person's point of view without getting all up in your feelings, as they say, and disrespecting them. I've seen a number of memes online posted by various black people within the conscious community wherein they use the verse Psalms 82:6. I had said you are gods, all of you are the sons of the Most High, in reference to the phrase the black woman is God. However, the use of this verse in that context is not only incorrect, it's also fairly disingenuous, considering that many of those people that I've seen who post that meme don't even follow the scripture. Also, the usage of that verse in that context is entirely incorrect because it doesn't take into account the fact that the word God in that passage is written with a small g, thereby indicating that we are all of the myriad of the lesser gods and are not at all comparable to the Most High God. But there again, as I said, that's from my perspective as a Hebrew. I would like to hear the perspective of someone else from the panel, preferably a sister, who is not a Hebrew, if that's possible. Crystal? Okay. I believe this topic is best summed up with 1 Corinthians 11:8 through 12, which says, "For man is not from woman, but woman from man. For man also was not created for the woman, but woman for the man. Because of this, the woman ought to have a symbol of authority on her head, because of the messengers, aka angels. However, man is not independent of woman, nor woman independent of man in the master. For as the woman was from the man, even so the man also is through the woman. But all are from Elohim." And the suffix "ym" at the end of the Hebrew word Elohim indicates plurality. Therefore, according to Genesis 1:27, all mankind was created by the Trinity, which is Yahweh, Ruach HaKadosh, and Yeshua the Mashiach. So, from that perspective, sociological, etymological, scientific, and Hebraic, anyone who purports the ideology or term that the black woman is God is operating from a completely false precept. Hello? Crystal? Okay.
I think Kay is having a little issues with her mic over there. It says unmuted on this side, and her volume is up. So she's going through some technical difficulties, so she's going to jump back in and refresh herself.
Okay.
I mean, well, there's a lot of people, that comes from certain groups, and they would say that the black woman is God. On a physical level, I guess we all was born from our mothers.
Hello?
There you go.
There you are, Kay.
I don't know what the heck was happening. I really don't.
Okay. Well, what is your perspective on this topic, Kay?
My perspective is I don't believe baths, the black adult female or black woman, even though I don't like saying that. I don't believe that the bath is God. I myself am a bath, and I don't adhere to that at all. I suspect it's a mechanism for BAMs, not trying to put them on blast, but being that we are all victims of white supremacy and our heads are all cooped up. I mean, a lot of us have been programmed in these dysfunctional ways of how we interact with each other. especially when it comes on to you know, as females and males, as black females and males, how we interact with each other intimately. I suspect that it's a mechanism for BAMs to, you know, mate or try to get some pom pom, and seem more appealing to BAFs by stroking their egos, which is disastrous because we already don't trust each other, and now BEFs are even more distrustful because of BAMs around and acting like Mac daddies, because unfortunately they have been programmed to take on this care catcher, that's how you pronounce it, to take on this character that is not, you know, it's not who he is, but it's who he have become, unfortunately. And being that we are victims of white supremacy just as much as Beths are, you know, we go around calling the Bath God, not even realizing that we're not even in the position of being powerful, or having any power. And instead of being realistic with ourselves and recognizing that we are victims in the system, we go around using this slogan to sugarcoat our plight by screaming these slogans of delusion and pain, and, you know, saying Black Power this, Black Power that. But at the end of the day, the BAM can't even protect his family, nor could a BAF do the same. And he can't even provide for them without the assistance of white supremacy. So, you know, I think we need to be realistic with each other and stop going around screaming all these nonsense just to feel good, and, you know, just to go around and mate and screw each other and create more children, and put them in a position where they're going to be screwed over because we don't offer them no options. And also, I suspect that the Bath is God connotes from the lethal virus of feminism that has been planted by the white female, who wants everything at her mercy and feet, although the white man has robbed, killed, raped, and terrorized us in her name. And now you have these baths who are suggesting that they don't need BAMs, although there can never be another BAF or BAM without the partnership between the two. So I just feel like, you know, a lot of these BAFs I'm seeing that's going around talking some, you know, I'm God and I'm God. It's like, how are you God? You can't even protect yourself. You go to work every day. You're living in the matrix, as we all are. I mean, how are you a God, and what is a God anyways? And I don't know, it's just so embarrassing seeing it, because it's like we not even in that position at all. Like we cooped up in the head for real. And we need to start going around saying all that nonsense. And even sometimes with the king and queen thing, it's like, you know, my definition of the king and queen is, you know, you serve your people. And the majority of us don't do that. All we do is just stay online, posting memes and bullshit. And then when it really comes down to getting to the nitty gritty and putting in the work, nobody's doing shit but running their mouth and putting up memes and whatnot. To the point where we can't even get people to come on this panel, because instead of them engaging, at least, you know, trying to build on some suggestions, they'd rather stay online, repost memes, and all that weak shit, and it's really not helping us, and it's delusion in itself. And some of the BAFs are even badgering, or yeah, like badgering bands by using that slogan, that they're a god, to say and do whatever they want. So it's just dysfunctional, and it's just you know, it's just the BAF being further confused, because it's just an ideology that has been planted by feminism ultimately, because that's some shit that they would say, to the point where, you know, I see some BAF saying, yeah, I'm God, I don't need no BAM, you guys are weak. Look at Azalea Banks for an example. She did a photo shoot, and she had on a shirt and a pair of shorts of the American flag, and in the picture she's holding a bat, and she has on these high heels, and she's standing up on like this plateau with mountains in the back. And she said, maybe the fear comes from realizing that there is something stronger than the almighty black man. What an oxymoron. What is strong about you, Azalea Banks? You're a victim of white supremacy. You was on, was it Hot 97 crying about cultural appropriation and white people taking over the music industry and being acclaimed and praised for you know what they do in society, but then when a so-called black person do it, they don't get no type of recognition or credit. And along with that, you like to attack people like Wale, going off on how you would kill a Bam if he ever got in your way of survival. Like, and then on the flip side of that, she would talk shit about white people, but it's like, you know, she's confused, and you think you're strong, and you're really not. You're not strong. You're a victim. You don't even know the full extent of our own situation. You don't understand that at all. If you
Yeah, and
could
a
do
number of
shit.
BAFs look up to her as some kind of leader of the black feminist movement, which the black feminist is so contradictory.
It's an
That whole term,
oxymoron.
it's an oxymoron. It makes no sense because feminism was created by white women to oppress black people, ultimately.
Exactly,
So,
to aid in the oppression and genocide of black people with the alliance of white males, because he does everything for her. So
hmm
she's Asian. She came to our community by saying, "Oh, we're sisters because we have titties and we have vaginas and we face the same things as women." And first of all, you were never regarded as a woman. The black female was never regarded as a woman. Never even seen as feminine. So that says a lot within itself. Your body was basically ostracized and sexualized to put this white bitch on a pedestal to the point where she could be a whore and is totally fine because, you know, society is at her feet. She's the fucking god in this paradigm. Not
however,
you. She could do anything she fucking wants. You do that shit, it's over.
as I said, though, the term "the black woman is God" from an African perspective, it could mean wisdom, because the word God simply meant wisdom. The word God, the only words that they had in Africa to mean God meant wisdom or to elevate. So if a woman is doing what she can do to elevate those around her and is promoting wisdom and educating, then she could, from that perspective, be a god.
What you
But
don't see, and
but
anytime you see those
that it
memes,
would only be that woman who is uh, representing that image. But you don't always, some of the women that are purporting that phrase don't represent that image at all. So that you can't just throw that term around, the black woman is God. It has to be very specific to um, to explain what type of woman is
and
God.
another thing I noticed that anytime I see those memes, a lot of times when you see BAMs posting things about baths, they're always half naked in some bikini with some thong up in her ass, with her boobs out, all greased up, and looking like she's just, you know, ready to get to just bend over. Like, we supposed to be getting away from these stereotypes and negativity. Why is it that every time you say that the bath is God, she's damn near naked?
That's
And
another
the
issue.
BAFs are saying, yes, yes, you know, we have the best bodies, and we handle this, and we handle that. And it's like, you should be getting away from that bullshit.
Or pictures of some bath who's taking a booty shot, and then in the comment section, a man will say, "Oh, the black woman is God." Why? Because she
Just
has a
look
big butt?
pussy. And not
No.
every BAF has a big ass, so, you know, this is stupid within itself. We
And
need
as Dr.
something
Mayat
bullshit.
noted in her interview, a lot of them are saying, "Oh, the black woman is God because she can create." Well, that doesn't mean that you're a god just because you can create life. Um,
Animals create life. What the hell?
certain animals, hominids, create life, like monkeys and stuff. They can create life. Are they gods too? And then when you look at some of these baths, they are bringing these kids in the world, and they're not doing anything to provide for them, and they're spending all their money on clothes and stuff for
But
their hair.
but that's why I asked the brother. That's why I asked the brother, like, is that what makes us or the black woman God by knowing what's right and what's wrong, by being conscientious of things that are
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
That's where I was asking and where I was,
Yeah. So, you know, representing the image of God either from a Hebraic aspect or just from the etymological aspect of, I mean, the African etymological aspect of the term or the concept of God. That is what one needs to, or Baph would need to aspire to represent that image.
Exactly.
Um,
Can I add a
but
little something?
yes,
Okay, so I'm glad that's an excellent point you brought up. I'm glad you brought that up about taking on the characteristics and behaviorisms of the what people consider to be God. Now, in reality, what our view of Satan is also God. So
yes.
all angels are God, all
Hmm.
rebellious angels are God, all holy angels are God, and the holy Father, the Heavenly Father, you know what I'm saying, the wonderful Son and the Holy Spirit, they're all God as well,
Hmm.
including humans,
Hmm.
according to the Psalms 82:6 that you read, right?
Hmm.
So now this is an important reminder of anybody who hears this. You need to know that every last one of us are gods. So then, if that's the case, then why are we acting like animals and hominids and monkeys and things of this nature? So when you act other than a god, then you become a satanic, a adversary to the holy side.
Exactly.
So then it gets you to choose a side. There's only two things going on earth at all times, and that is uh, unjust destruction, and then there's righteous building, which includes destruction, because you have to destroy certain things in order for the righteousness to be put in its place.
So,
So
well, as I said, in the phrase "the black woman is God," the G is capitalized, thereby indicating that they're saying the black woman is the God. So if she's going to represent the image of the God, he was one of the main descriptions of him was wisdom.
mhm,
So a number of our Baptists don't operate with wisdom. They don't have much,
absolutely,
if any, wisdom. And then, of
absolutely,
course, there's also, as I said, to elevate, to inspire our people. That,
that takes training. They're gonna have to train and learn those things. So if they're unwilling to learn these things, then they're going to be, an adversarial God, a devilish God, a deceiving God.
yes, because the deceiver is also a God, but however, with the lowercase g. But if you aren't elevating yourself, then you are acting in a manner of one of the lesser gods, also known as demons. And
Mm,
many of our people act like that. They act in a manner that's outright demonic.
absolutely.
I
Like,
want to,
yes?
I want to expound on what Asir was talking about a little bit because I seen where he's kind of going with talking about what makes us gods and if it's knowing good and evil, right?
Yes.
We have that example from the Garden of Eden, and then in Luke 9:23, Hamashiach says, "And he said to them all, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me." So it's the daily crucifixion of the flesh. You know what I mean? Even Hamashiach was tempted by the devil in the desert, in the wilderness, right? So we have to take on the same thing, and we're tempted every day. So it's about learning how to overcome those strongholds in our life that are holding us back from being a God.
Um, and then also, um, we need to remember that we can't we can't do anything. I mean, BAFs can't do anything without our counterpart, the BAM. We need him, because even as Israel said, the word Elohim includes Yahweh and Ruach HaKadosh, as well as the angels. So it's a all-inclusive thing. If I'm a god, then my brother is a god too. So we can't just purport the theory the black woman is God. Now, I have seen the term the black woman and the black man is God, but still there again, you need to make sure that there's that specification of what a God, or what what type of God we should be aspiring to. Otherwise, the term is meaningless. And so, um,
So at the end of the day, you can have an aspect, or you can be an aspect, or God can work through you, but not no V at any cost. But it's like the brother said, we are gods. I mean, we are creators. That's what when I see, the word God, I just see creator. We do create, and I had asked, like, yeah, is that making us, that's the difference between us, and animals, like you had said also. We conscientious about what's going on. We can do a lot of things, so, and then also co-telling what KK said, I feel like now in different communities or different groups, it's being pushed a little bit more, but it's mostly being pushed by BAMs, you know what I'm
yes,
saying, males.
yes,
I think somebody, a KK, had told me about what the brother Offco said, as far as women were using that, or females were using that to their advantage,
mhm,
to control a situation.
mhm,
I think we also talked about earlier, as far as more than likely they came from feminists,
mhm,
lesbian feminists,
yeah,
who want to kind of have something between their legs and swinging. So
yeah,
I know this comes from a lot of areas, but it's different degrees of thinking. So, on an allegory state, a physical state, it's these things that we gotta view it at. But at the end of the day, I guess we all came to a conclusion that they if you not, you know, um, trying to elevate yourself and the people around you and your kids, if you're not you know uh following us. Well, I ain't gonna say follow, but I'm just saying, if you're not basically being an upright female, I mean, then how can you be that guy? I mean, we also know about positive and negative energy.
mhm,
There's plenty of sisters out here that's releasing a lot of negative energy, and there's a lot of sisters out here releasing a lot of positive energy. I don't want to put that on with the angry black woman, because that don't exist to me. That was something that was created after the 60s, I think that was 60, 70, maybe 80s to 90s, like the brother Alvin has said. I agree with that. I concur that that's something that was made. We have a lot of sisters that are very loving, kind.
yes,
Uh, they have even say that black women can't be submissive. That's an absolute lie. We think plenty of examples of sisters getting ran over and getting used and abused, and that's
mhm,
because they submitting to they male, and want to be like the brother Amazon always say, his rear, and so
Hey,
uh
I kind of want to play a part, since there aren't any people up here that disagree, or I mean that agree that the black woman is God. I kind of want to play that part, just to
okay,
make the conversation a little bit more interesting.
most stuff.
All right, so on that, I guess I'll say, what about the men and women who come at the black woman being God as an aspect of a creator of life. And the fact that not only is her womb an exact replication of um, the a star cluster that actually birthed our galaxy. It's in the shape of a womb, meaning the universe, in a sense, would itself have to be a female. So the creator of our universe would be female, and the creator of life on this planet would be female. How would you come at that? Those people who believe in that.
Hmm. I mean, I don't really have no argument against that. The female and female, something has to come from. I mean, I don't see any males. We don't never see that no example of no males. I think maybe in the animal kingdom, maybe the seahorse, the male maybe hold the eggs or something like that. But other than that, we don't see anything. Any men birthing.
No, definitely not within the hominid species, which is what we as Homo sapiens belong to. There are no hominids that can self-procreate.
Right. Right. So it's like, I mean, it's to us, it's like, hey, that's just common sense that uh, everything is birthed from a female, and I think I think that may be where it also came from. Everything is birthed from a female. As soon as you come out that womb, you looking to suck on that breast to get some food. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we understand that, but putting certain ignorant women on a pedestal of being God, I no, most definitely not.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely not.
Because as I said, the term isn't specific of what the description of God is. So to say the black woman is God without that description, it doesn't make any sense. Because
Right,
then
right,
you're
right. It would be a
including
better
that.
slogan to say the black
Yes.
woman is holy. I said, yeah, it would be a more effective slogan to say the black woman is holy.
Mm. You think so? Now explain
Yeah,
that
because
because
then they will relate to that and understand what do you mean by holy? Then now they got to find out what holy means and then at that point live
Ah,
that out.
right.
okay, I
When they
understand.
say God, they don't know what that means. They're like, what does God? So what does God mean? That just means I'm special and I can just do whatever I want to do.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right, right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it. Instead of saying God, they need to say holy, and they'll try to live up to that.
Mm-hmm.
Because most don't know what God is. I definitely can agree with that. That makes more sense to me. Because most people say they're doing it to try to uplift the self-esteem or to think highly of yourself. But yeah,
Pull
most
Yeah.
them
definitely if
out
you
of
say
that
oh,
animalistic mentality and
Mm-hmm.
get them thinking more royal about themselves, but then they don't clearly define the attributes.
Yeah, and as
So
far as uplifting, there are a number of BAFs I've seen who they have a high self-esteem even when they're wearing Daisy Dukes and their boobs are hanging out everywhere and they're yelling at their kids and smacking them over the head and spending all this money on hair weaves and whatnot. So it has more to do with the behavior of a god that BAFs would need to aspire to.
mm,
That's what I found in Leviticus 20 and 26 says, "And ye shall be holy unto me, for I, the Most High, am holy, and have severed you from other people, that ye should be mine." Like the brother was saying, like it's actually not a hard term to grasp. When you ask somebody normally, like, what is holy, they normally think that it's something that's out of reach for human beings. But to be, like you said, to be holy just means to be separate, to be set apart. And the Most High said He's the same way. So when we talk about being holy, we're talking about separating ourselves from the wickedness of this kingdom, from having anything to do with the white man's rulership, government,
hmm
the way he does things. When we talk
Um,
about
there's
it,
also the verse Proverbs 31:10 through 31, which gives a great description of a godly-like woman, which you, for those of you who are listening, should look that up. It's a very good verse. There's a lot of um, hidden concepts in there that it's good for research, and also it's a well-known poem. So yeah, um, as a Hebrew, that would be how my aspirations as a woman.
I have
For
another question. Do you believe through your actions you can become godly?
yes,
Maybe. Okay. So in that aspect, if you carried yourself in a way where you would be considered godly, would that in a sense make you a god?
yes,
All
that's what
right.
the term means, God-like, because you're
So,
acting in a manner similar to that of God.
but wouldn't in a sense the term God mean that you will be able to create and know all,
Mm, I don't know how that would be possible.
or
I
at
mean,
least
well,
or at least create life?
I mean, regardless of whether or not a woman is acting godly, she will create life. But
But
um,
but in a sense that would mean a man is just as much as of a god as the woman because he helps create the life. She cannot do it without a man.
yes, yes,
All right.
that's why it's important to elevate them both, so that the productivity of the black community will
So
be balanced.
would there be an issue if both man and woman were calling themselves God? Like I know it's in New York, it's popular for men to go around and they'll call each other God. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
What up, God? You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
what about that?
Well, if they're acting in a godlike manner, elevating, uplifting, and educating,
Hmm.
which is also the slogan for Black Star. Um,
I agree on. Well, I agree that um, if you were supposed to, or if you're exclaiming a title, then you should act toward that title. Just don't
yes,
use it because it sounds nice.
yes.
But I mean, I don't feel like we can say that because from what my understanding of God or good, it actually means perfection. You know what I'm saying? And none of us is perfect. So how can we call ourselves that title?
Well,
And
that's
striving, but we'll never reach that.
well, that's where the etymology of the word for God comes in, because the etymology of the word God is has European origins, but the African concept of the word God means only to uplift and educate, because in Europe, the definition of the word God refers to the Bible, and also the Indo-European origins of the word God mean to invoke, which doesn't really give a real good description of what a god is. So as African people, or descendants of those who came from the land that we now call Africa, we really should look more towards the the African concept of God, which simply meant wisdom and elevate.
Yeah, and I see that what you just said too, when it comes to striving to be perfect, that goes back to what I was my example of Luke 9:23, when Hamashiach says that we should pick up our cross daily and follow after him. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Most definitely.
And then
there's
of course we're not always going to get the law perfect, but the law is like a guide for us to do that. And if you look at James 2:18, because what they teach in of course Christianity is that we just have to have faith. But James 2:18 says, "Yeah, a man may say that I have faith and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works."
exactly. And one thing that we BAFs have to remember when we say the black woman is God, we have to also include the black man, because as Proverbs 11:1 says, a false balance is an abomination to Yahweh, but a just weight is his delight. So without the inclusion of the BAM as God, and therefore what we're aspiring, and therefore us aspiring to achieve the image of God as wisdom and elevating others. Unless we have those two things, then it's not going to work, and will also cause a lot of disruption in the black community, because BAMs are going to feel slighted and then angry and jealous because of this attention that's being given to BAFs in the media, and BAFs promotion of themselves over BAMs. And then in turn, it's going to just cause a lot of negativity between the two sectors. So for us to have any hope in progress for ourselves as black people, we definitely need to focus on elevating and unifying and uplifting all of us as one. I think we exhausted all the topics all the varying issues on this topic. This is Black Starr Empress Hour with Cookie and Kay, and I thank you all for your participation on the panel. Please be sure to check us out on Google+, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and please be sure to check out our podcast on Podomatic and SoundCloud. Peace and blessings.